Masai Ujiri has spoken out on the Blockbuster trade that went down yesterday, and some of his comments, particularly regarding the Immanuel Quickley acquisition, have some Raptors fans turning their heads. So we'll break down what he had to say and what it means for this team. Additionally, we have a massive update regarding Immanuel Quickley and his future with the Toronto Raptors organization. So lots of stuff to break down in this vid, and folks, we included the analytics slate, and over half of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel. So you want to stay up to date with this Toronto Raptors squad, especially during times like this when the roster's in flux, we're bringing in young pieces, moves are actually going down. I won't want you guys to miss out on any of the vids, any of the journey, the fun journey it's been, we're about to embark on. So definitely subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. It's going to be a wild next few weeks. But let's dive into the news, because the first thing that we're taking a look at is Masai Ujiri finally speaking out on this deal that went down yesterday. Now, if you're living under a rock, the Raptors traded away OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa, as well as Malachi Flynn, in return for RJ Barrett, Immanuel Quickley, as well as a second-round pick from the Detroit Pistons. So a really nice second pick that's basically a late first. So, Masai Ujiri, I've praised this move. Raptors fans have been hyped about this move. A great acquisition. But now we actually get to hear what Masai Ujiri's thoughts are on the whole situation and the whole trade. And he came out and said that basically Immanuel Quickley is a young and talented playmaker who we believe will provide a spark. So that was his initial quote regarding Immanuel Quickley. I'm sure he's going to have a full press conference coming soon, but that quote, Immanuel Quickley, has some Toronto Raptors fans turning their heads, saying, spark. That particular language, what does that mean? Because obviously, Immanuel Quickley was the six-man or potential six-man of the year candidate, with the New York Knicks. I think Brogdon ended up winning it, but, Quickley is a guy that is a spark plug. He's been described as that off the bench for the New York Knicks for a long time. However, Raptors fans want this guy to start, and I'm probably at the forefront of this. I think Immanuel Quickley can really be a star, can really blossom with this Toronto Raptors squad. I mean, if you look at his numbers as a starter with the New York Knicks last season, he hasn't started any games this year, but he averaged 22.6 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, and 5 assists, and shot 40% from the three-point line, so his efficiency stayed up, and it's a pretty solid sample size in 21 games played. So Immanuel Quickley is a guy that's just waiting for an opportunity to get handed the reins of a team. He's done it on a good team in the New York Knicks last season with a strong sample size. We want Immanuel Quickley to start. And obviously this doesn't guarantee he's coming off the bench. He's going to be used in that sense for the Toronto Raptors, but we all know how much Darko Rajakovic loves Dennis Schroeder. Now, Schroeder has moved to the bench in recent games. Scotty's put to the point, so I'd imagine Schroeder's going to be put to the bench. I'd still, even with this quote, expect Schroeder to be brought off the bench, but it is something I know has a lot of Raptors fans concerned, given the relationship between Darko and Schroeder and all that type of stuff, but I think it would be shocking. I think it would be a really bad move, a bad look, if we didn't give Immanuel Quickley the opportunity to start on this team, especially where Schroeder's proven to be an elite backup point guard in the NBA. So it would help our bench. It would fortify, the development of our young player in Immanuel Quickley. I think it would just be a shockingly dumb move if that, Quickley's a spark off the bench for this Toronto Raptors squad. Shouldn't happen. So we'll see what happens there. But Masai also had some other quotes saying that RJ is a versatile wing who, of course, is well known in his hometown, and seeing him in a Raptors uniform will be a special moment for our fans and Canadians. So, describing RJ as versatile and stuff. Interesting that he put Quickley first, and talking to Knicks fans, hearing a lot of Knicks fans speak on this. Obviously, RJ Barrett's probably the bigger name, especially to Canadians, given he was the 3rd overall pick just a few years ago. Homegrown talent's been really good for Team Canada. I mean, RJ Barrett is a guy that's also an exciting piece. Interesting that Quickley was described first, and RJ is more leaned into the Canadian factor, but again, we're not getting the full quotes here from Masai Ujiri, just as brief comments starting out on this. But obviously bringing in a hometown hero is nice to see. RJ Barrett's a guy that we felt like wanted to come to the Toronto Raptors for a long while now at this point. So interesting comments there from Masai, and then also said it's never easy to say goodbye, especially when players like OG and Malachi have spent their entire careers with us. Wish Precious, Malachi, and OG all the best. So we'll see what ends up. We know OG, we know Precious Achiuwa, especially we're favorites of Masai Ujiri. Once we acquired Precious Achiuwa, basically said to him, the quote, "We finally got you." So it was almost like he was a star player in the eyes of Masai Ujiri. Things didn't work out particularly with Precious or Malachi Flynn, but obviously OG Anunoby was a big success, fan favorite, been with the Toronto Raptors organization a long time. that shot he hit in that Celtics series. He's done a lot of great things for this Toronto Raptors organization. So wishing OG Anunoby all the best. Still going to be a favorite of mine across the NBA. Might get an OG Anunoby Knicks jersey, honestly, because I don't mind the Knicks and I love OG. But interesting comments there from Masai Ujiri. Let me know what you guys think about that whole situation. But the next thing we're taking a look at is a massive Immanuel Quickley update, regarding his future with the Raptors organization. Now, it's obviously tough. We can't read into too much about a guy, how we're going to feel about bringing him in long term and stuff along those lines after you just traded for him. I mean, we haven't even seen him play in a Raptors jersey just yet. But everything I sort of mentioned with Immanuel Quickley, particularly his numbers as a starter, I mean, I'm pretty pumped to see what Immanuel Quickley can do with the reins given to him out for a team. Obviously, Scotty's going to be the number one guy. We'll see what happens with Pascal Siakam, but Quickley is going to be a player that is an integral piece to this Raptors squad. But basically, we have details in terms of what we're expecting for him in order to retain him long term, as Immanuel Quickley will be getting a fresh start with Toronto Raptors as he's 24 years old and seeking a sizable contract and a larger role. Quickley, the sources say, is eager to start as a scoring point guard and will be paid $25 to $30 million per year range, on par with Knicks point guard Jalen Brunson, who is in the second year of a 4-year deal of $104 million. So, you might look at that and be like, oh, does he deserve Jalen Brunson money? Probably not, but Jalen Brunson probably didn't deserve Jalen Brunson money, or not deserve. Deserve is the wrong word. You deserve whatever contract you end up getting. You earned it from whatever organization. If an organization is willing to pay you, you deserved it. But Jalen Brunson was around the level of an Immanuel Quickley, in terms of regard across the NBA. I mean, the Mavericks thought that type of contract was a bit too big, too bold to actually give him. Even though despite the fact they made the Western Conference Finals, that ended up being a huge blown up in the Dallas Mavericks' face, pretty big, because that contract is now a steal for the New York Knicks. So again, we can't make it a one-to-one comparison. Oh yes, Immanuel Quickley hasn't proven to be the level of Jalen Brunson just yet, but I still think that's a reasonable contract, especially with the cap going up, and we're going to give OG Anunoby $40 million a year along those lines. So, again, his stats, Immanuel Quickley, you might look at 15, 2-2. Is it that exciting, really, with everything going on? But he's efficient. He's a young guy. He fits our timeline. He does exactly what the Toronto Raptors kind of want out of a point guard, I feel like now at this point. Can space the floor really well, can be a scoring guard, because Scotty Barnes is still going to be doing a lot of our facilitating. So Quickley is a player that I think fits perfectly, does exactly what we need, is the right age. Give him that type of bag. It's not going to be a horrible deal unless, he gets injured or something along those lines, which you hope doesn't happen. And again, look at the numbers of him as a starter. Look at these numbers. You got to take that risk. Masai Ujiri took the swing. We traded away OG for this guy. And obviously, if the guy is just horrible, for this tenure with the Toronto Raptors, then maybe we could renegotiate or something like that. But if we get the Immanuel Quickley we are sort of expecting that will really burst onto the scene with this Toronto Raptors squad, then that contract is beyond reasonable with the Raptors. I'm happy he's looking for a longer-term deal rather than the Fred VanVleet special of like a 2-year kind of contract where the cap ends up rising again, and then another team's going to offer him like $60 million in 2026. So I like this, everything that's going on along those lines. Let me know what you guys think about all of this Toronto Raptors news. Again, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, because we're going to be keeping you up to date with all the latest Toronto Raptors news. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.